Hello and welcome, folks, to another edition of RSF Radio. I'm your host, Joe Monday, and I am excited. Today is November 30th, 2017, and AE's right around the corner. But before that, Capcom Cup is right here. We are on the edge of Capcom Cup. We are a little over a week away. We're going to have one more podcast before then, but we're right there, folks. We're in it. It is Capcom Cup time, so I'm looking forward to announcements for AE. I'm just excited about AE in general. I'm actually going to jump ahead to a question posed by a user this week from Yinzo, and then Yinzo backwards. That's how the name goes, because that's easy to read out loud. Asks, should I buy Street Fighter V? And at this very moment, he asks, should I just buy it with my real hard-earned monies? And the answer to that is no. It's quite honestly no. Don't do that right now. Don't do that at all, because they're giving you so many things with AE just right off the bat. Because the package as it is, I mean, you can get it for cheaper than you would buy AE for. But then there's that whole time investment of unlocking all the characters and going through all that stuff, which, if that sounds good to you, if you want to spend that kind of time with the game, doing the grindy kind of stuff with survival, going through and getting your fight money that way to unlock the characters, if you want to do that, you can go right ahead. But at that point, the game it's not respecting your time at all. And I've said this before, but AE just will have all of that stuff unlocked. It's going to have a lot more single-player content, hopefully a lot more interesting single-player content for you to play if you are just getting it, if you're just getting Street Fighter V. So that's very exciting. So I don't know, I'm excited about it. I'm excited about the prospect of new players coming into the community and coming into the scene in a very easy-to-learn game. A little bit, I'm curious about how it's going to go. I've got, mostly for the future of Geese Gym and what that means of, how much will change with AE, how much do I have to go back and change, how much can I keep updated, do I have to go back and change things for the digital versions of the books. That part for me is I can maybe see the work ahead of me. But I don't know. I'm kind of excited to see what else they have, what they're going to roll out during Capcom Cup, what they're going to announce for AE. I'm really excited. I would be very excited if they said, hey, we're going to have loot boxes, right? Right? Because everybody loves loot boxes. That's the most fun thing to love right now. I mean, all serious, why not? I mean, you already gamble enough in Street Fighter V on Wake Up, so why not roll the dice one more time and try to unlock some skins, right? I mean, it's not that crazy to think, it's a very popular game already. Why not include the most popular, tool these days of game developers and just introduce some loot boxes into your game? Fight boxes. Hop into the ring, pull that lever, punch that lever. I'm willing to do it. Are you guys going to go in with me on this dark deed, folks? We'll go down that path, see what treasures we can find within Street Fighter V loot boxes. Okay. All right. Enough of an intro. Let's get into things this week. Kind of reached back a little bit further this week than just 1 week, because I missed a couple things last week and the week before. It's kind of lost a couple things I want to note before we get to some big news that happened this particular week. Also, side note, reached as a word is the worst word. I hate saying it out loud. It sounds terrible. It's tough. It's bad writing out. It's just a fun fact about words. Reached is the worst one. Doctors decided that, in fact. Okay, getting into it, I want to send out a congratulations to This Is Battle. He is a Vega from the North American region, and he got Master Rank, which, no one else has done that from this region. And Vega is a very hard character to play consistently in Street Fighter V, especially online, where his anti-airs are very lacking, and it's tough to do. So that's an extremely good accomplishment, and I want to give you some props for that. Sad that on the rank up one he had to kind of deal some damage to a fellow Vega, but hey, that's fine. You get yours. Never look back. So good stuff, and shout outs to This Is Battle. Next thing I want to talk about, again, I want to bring this guy up one more time on this podcast, just because his videos are getting better, I want to say, getting a lot more useful. But PDC Sky on YouTube, hit up that channel a lot, especially if you are looking to learn Ryu. He's getting into a lot of Ryu-specific punishes and ranges, and how far away are you on block? If you block at point blank, what can you get out of it? Are they standing? Are they crouching? And it's a practically useful video if you are specifically looking for Ryu punishes. And that kind of hyper-specific information, I feel like, is extremely useful these days. And also difficult to find because you can't just search for online Ryu-specific punishes on crouching. And you might find something, but it's difficult to find. But check this dude out. He's got a constant stream of videos. Now he must be kicking up production or whatever. I don't know, but he's doing a good job. Check him out. Hit that like and subscribe button on this dude's channel, not mine. Next one, also another YouTube channel you should subscribe to and smash that like button. Boop, is 2 Minute Tutorials. Pugilist Penguin is back with another round of tutorials. This one is a brief video on how to watch replays. He also offers at the end of the video, if you want to have him review your replays, if you find yourself in that skill level of player where you want some maybe a little bit deeper analysis on how you play, Pugilist Penguin's a smart dude. He's a good dude, and he's going to put in the work for you. So I'm just glad to see these back. They're brief, short little packaged videos that pre-packaged videos. You just open it up and there's your meal. Eat all up. That's a good 2 minute tutorial. I love it. It's a double dose of knowledge. So check that one out. And check out the history of his videos as well. If you are just getting into the game. If you're coming in from AE, check out his videos. It's good stuff, man. I promise. All right, next thing of note. Alex Meyers shares with Red Bull how he made it into Street Fighter as a Street Fighter Pro. The big thing to take away from this is how much credit he gives his local community and local tournaments. Make special note of that. A lot of players say it, but it's just good to hear repeated over and over from top players. And Alex has done very well for himself. I should actually look up where he ranks in the CPT. I should really see where he lands right now, but I don't have that information on hand. I'll look that up for afterwards, because we're definitely going to get into discussion next week about Last Chance Qualifier and see maybe where people stand on that. Maybe who's your top pick for the LCQ. But he's a good dude. He's got a head on straight. Smart guy. Hella respect for this dude. And maybe go check out his interview. It's a good brief interview. It's only a couple minutes long, but check it out. And the next one, this is a basically a short documentary that was extremely well produced, put it that way, from a fairly new games journalism site, Waypoint.com or discourse.zone. They've got some really fun URLs out there. I wonder if there's any fighting game related URLs for Waypoint. I should look that up. They have a list somewhere of all their URLs, because people on the internet are kind of nutso, and they gifted them these URLs. But that's beside the point, because this short little documentary, 20-minute doc, so it's consume it within a little chunk of time. Follows Sonic Fox and Punk, and it shares their stories from how they came at EVO, where they were coming from going into EVO, shows what their managers are doing during the days, talks about the community a little bit. It's a good 20 minutes on the experience of EVO through the lens of top players, but also they don't forget about just the community in general that goes to EVO. So it's a good representation of what the community is like, and also what top players' lives are like. just in the downtime, things like that. So highly recommend checking that one out. Short 20-minute doc, very well put together, very well edited, and it's cool to see Cool Gray AJ's sneakers. Just put it, they're highly featured in this doc. So look out for all those cool kicks. I wonder how many shoes he brought to Las Vegas. How difficult it was to pack all those shoes. Well, anyway, no matter. Moving on to the next topic. The next one is a thoughts on by Brian F. He talks about option selects. And if you don't know what an option select in an OS, it's something that is often misconstrued within the fighting game community, because people are always sticklers about the meanings of words and what things are. And he breaks down within a basically 6-minute time period of just the basics of what an option select is, one input which covers multiple options, and breaks down from the simplest to most, well, maybe not the most advanced form, but more advanced forms, and how you really can't remove them in a lot of senses, and how they're pretty much in most all fighting games. I had to think about that. If there's fighting games that don't have option selects. Does dive kick have option selects? I don't know that. I should know that. I'm going to look into that. Dive kick. Well, we'll Google that for another time. But check him out. Check out Brian F's channel, and if you have not subscribed to his channel and have not been watching his videos, he's got some really good information out there, especially on Balrog, especially if Balrog's giving you trouble. Dude is a sandbagging son of a bitch, and it is highly entertaining and very informative. So check out his channel. He's a good dude. He's a good guy. Next one, I'm pretty much always going to share, speaking of option selects, I'm pretty much always going to share tech that has been posted to the sub that is in the form of a GIF, because it's just what you need to see. He's got the inputs there, it replays. Maybe I can understand the argument for, I want it in a video form so I can pause it and look at the inputs, but I mean, this GIF takes how many seconds? Like maybe 10 seconds to fully play out. But this particular option select is one set of inputs with confirms that are happening here too, of how to chase down a Dhalsim, and Dhalsim's multiple wake up options, so like covering teleports, things like that. So again, it's a fun little option select after we talked about option selects and what option selects are, but you can see one set of inputs here on the right and different types of defensive styles coming from the Dhalsim. So that one set of button inputs is covering all of those wake up options. So that's a good example of an option select, and it's in GIF form, which makes me super happy to see. I love OS GIFs. I love tech GIFs. Give me your tech GIFs. Share me all your tech GIFs. I want to see them all. All right. Next up, charity. This is a cool charity set up by HyperX. HyperX. I never read that out loud. HyperX Giving. It's a charity stream going on from December. I just like the name. December 12th. It's going to be put on by Sajam and Tasty Steve. It's a fun fourth wall commercial here that, if you're into that kind of thing, minute and a half long, definitely worth checking out, and definitely want to tune into that one on December 12th. So this is check when that is, what day that is. That's a Tuesday. For them it was a Tuesday. Wow, okay. This is the Tuesday after Capcom Cup. So maybe after you're done traveling, if you've gone to the event, if you were in Anaheim and you're going home, take that plane ride home, recover on Monday, and then just have a good wholesome time with your friends at HyperX Giving. Stream on December 12th. I'm definitely going to be looking forward to that one. I love when the FGC decides to step it up and put on events for charity, and this one looks like it is going to be quite the event. I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be fun. All right, next bit of information. I just love sharing Liang Hub's videos. They're so much fun, and this one goes back to Street Fighter 4 with a bunch of different Ken juggles. I love the juggle properties that Ken could get off of a an airborne hit with his DP. Juggle points are different if they're standing or airborne. So you see a lot of different combos, some swag combos where he'll get a focus crumple and then wait for them to have the airborne frames, hit him with that DP, then juggle it. It's just thing of beauty. I love it. It's good stuff. Definitely not optimized combos, but like optimized in the sense of, makes you look like the coolest person. But anyway, fun video to watch. I highly recommend checking that one out, especially if you miss some Street Fighter 4 stuff. Link Hub's got you covered. He's got all those videos there for your viewing pleasures. He's got a whole history of videos there for your viewing pleasures. So many viewing pleasures. Link Hub's got you back. All right. Before we get into Capcom Cup talk, I'd want to give going to bookend this segment with 2 congratulations. Congratulations to 801 Strider for being sponsored by Allegiance. So he's going into the tournament of tournaments here a little over a week from now with sponsors at his back. So that's good news for Allegiance and 801 Strider. He's a phenomenal person. If you haven't but if you haven't looked at his AMAs on our Street Fighter, then dig through those. I shared them in the comments of this post, just if anyone wanted to check those out, because he spent a ton of time answering every question, and he has he's got a smart head on his shoulders. He's a good guy, and treats pretty much everyone with a ton of respect. So I have a bunch of love for this dude, ton of respect for this guy, and just want to send him a little bit of congratulations for being sponsored. So good stuff. Now is the time where we get to talk about Capcom Cup stuffs, and the weeks leading up to it, because there were there's a little bit of a little kerfuffle within the community. And it all started 3 days ago this was Monday. So on Monday, this might have been actually, first news of this was like late Sunday night. That I might check the timestamps on that. But what happened was KnuckleDo announced to the community that he will not be able to compete in this year's Capcom Cup. And if you remember, he was last year's winner of Capcom Cup. He got the big check with his Armika last year. Very well played. It was a very exciting tournament. Highly recommend checking or watching all of last year's tournament, maybe in preparation for this year's tournament. But he played very well last year, got first place, and because he got first place within the rules of Capcom Cup, so this has been around for basically the entirety since the creation of it, for the series that was all last year, through the tournament last year, and through all of this season, the rule has been, if the winner of the previous year's Capcom Cup cannot compete in the next Capcom Cup, following one, then their guaranteed position as returning champ will be given to the next available position, which in this case is Ricky Ortiz. Ricky Ortiz did not qualify via points, as KnuckleDo. KnuckleDo had put in the work all year, and he ranked, what was it, 5th? I should look this up here in a second. Hold on. I forget exactly where he fell on the rankings, but people were very confused a couple days ago. They were like, well, will he... Well, first, people were very concerned about, the state of Do, how he's doing. God damn it. And just his state, because he didn't release a whole lot of information. He's being very private with it, and everyone should respect his privacy about that. But at the same time, the community wanted to express their concerns for, we just hope you're okay, KnuckleDo. Everyone loves you and respects you, and we would have all wanted to see you compete, but understand that, put yourself first, do what you need to do for you, live your best life, and hopefully he's all right. Don't go trying to pry into his life and maybe asking a lot of questions. Just let him have his space, let him have his time. But unfortunately, he will not be able to attend Capcom Cup a little over a week from now. But everyone thought, well, does then Ricky Ortiz get the spot? And the answer ultimately was yes. Capcom asked Ricky to attend in place of NuckleDo, and she said, yes, I will attend. Didn't qualify via points. I will note that she did enter the last chance qualifier. Her name is on... That's probably since been removed from the attendees list, but she was going to be there, and she was going to try to get last chance qualifier spot. But she won't need to do that now because she has been given Do's rightful spot. Because of where she was in points, she will now be in 31st seed, so she'll have to play Tokido in round 1. And all of that was explained in this week's, which was yesterday's, Wakeup Wednesdays with Michael Martin. He explains pretty much all of the details that you need to know going into Capcom Cup of, where you can watch it, what time things are going on, who is going to be competing in the last chance qualifier. Like, I've got all the big names out there. He goes over the bracket of how it's going to be laid out. He showed the images from the bracket, and those have since been shared around. People have those available. They're available. You can see them. So if you are wondering how things will proceed this year in Capcom Cup, check out Wakeup Wednesdays. If you haven't been following the series, I highly recommend you do so, because it tells you pretty much everything you need to know, and also highlights things from past performances. But none of that really in this episode. It is all Capcom Cup forward, which is good stuff. But it was kind of weird the past couple days, because people, and you might find yourself in this position of saying, well, if Duke can't make it, then why doesn't it open up to the next highest points leader, the person who is in number 31? Because Ricky Ortiz, as is ranked in the CPT, is 84th. He's in 84th place, which is relatively pretty low. Because if you're taking the top 30 people, and now we're giving it to an 84th place person. However, people were like, well, if Ricky declines, then it would go to Kazunoko or whatever, but he's already he's already qualified in that place. So, like, what's going to really happen here? So then we're like, well, maybe it's going to open up to 31st place. Maybe it's going to open up to NL, who is a Kami player from Korea. His latest performance, I think you could see, was at Canada Cup. And I checked out his Twitter just to see if he had made kind of any announcements. He had looked at dues dropping out, and he was looking at that information. I don't know if he got his hopes up or whatever. He is not competing in the last chance qualifier, so I think that he has taken himself out mentally from competing. That might be the case, but all of his tweets, most of his tweets are in Korean, but his tweets that are in English are very polite and cordial. And he's a really strong Kami player, so a lot of people were thinking this dude put in the work. He got 31st place ranked via points. Maybe he deserves that spot. Maybe this is something that the people at Capcom are going to look into moving forward. Of maybe if the person who places first can't attend the following Capcom Cup, maybe they give it to the next person in points. They haven't decided yet. That information is not out there yet. Nobody knows how they're going to proceed in the future, because there was so much backlash from the community. It's one of those things where, would there have been, let's put it this way, if Ricky Ortiz was placed 32 behind NL, would there be as much of an uproar? I think the argument can be made, well, she didn't win last year's Capcom Cup. She only got second place. So if you want to carry over if you want to have some kind of, lasting feeling from, carryover from tournament to tournament, the yearly thing, if you want to make it, have that kind of gravitas, the cup changing hands, or at least maybe the person who got second from last year changing hands to to the next winner, something like that. If you wanted to have that sort of feeling with your tournament, I understand the rule of second place then goes instead of the person who's in first place. But at the same time, there's kind of a meritocracy going on of NL put in a lot of work. And he's a strong player too, so it's both sides of the conversation definitely are worth weighing and worth talking about, worth thinking about whenever Capcom goes to decide for what's going to be the case for next year. I just don't think they expected this kind of big swing of their winner not taking his place as the rightful defender of the cup. So we'll see about the future. But before that is announced, they're definitely going to announce some A stuff, and I'm looking forward to that. And the tournament's going to be so exciting. It is a pool of sharks. The brackets are up. Not quite. They've announced they're up, but not quite locked yet. There was kind of a minute there where Big Bird was like, I gotta ask my school if I can, skip my finals. They said absolutely not, but then I told them how much money was up for grabs, and they said, we'll look into that immediately. And then the other day they were like, oh yeah, you can definitely, you hop on that plane, and if you don't win, you fail. So Big Bird will attend. Happy to see that. Love watching him play. But so many strong players are at Capcom Cup. Thinking about how brutal this bracket's going to be right off the bat. And then even last chance qualifier the day before on that Friday. It's going to be nuts. Looking forward to it. Just all of the talent is going to be at Capcom Cup. So I'm looking forward to that event just because of the level of skill that's going to be on display. It's very exciting stuff. But if you're excited about the bracket, I would recommend making your own fantasy bracket. Set this one up in Challenge, and you guys can do it too. You just copy all this stuff and then paste it into a challenge bracket of your own making, double elimination. And I think I'm going to work on this week. I'm going to take a look at this, see where people end up in the winners and losers brackets, see what happens. Don't know who's going to take that last chance qualifier spot. There are so many strong players in that tournament. It's just so difficult to say who's going to take that spot. I can't even make a best guess at this point. It's kind of open season. Not one person seems all that dominant. I want to see, let's put it this way, I want to see how that bracket looks before making a guess, because then you might be able to see someone's path to victory a little bit more clear that way. But aside from that, check out this bracket. Maybe make your own. I was looking into it, and it is a hard call. Almost every match, round one is difficult. So I'm looking forward to picking my way through this. See if I can't maybe try and match up with what actually ends up happening. But recommend you guys do that as well, and then get back to me in the comments. Maybe post your brackets if that's something you are into. If you're into some nerd stuff like that, if you like fantasy football, come at me. But that does it for Capcom Cup talk. We're gonna dig right into FGC history, and it makes sense, guys. We're gonna talk about Capcom Cup 2016. So a lot of people say Ricky Ortiz, she's got nothing, but look at her performance from just from last year. It's granted, a lot has changed. Characters have been nerfed. Things have changed. She hasn't been as dominating, definitely not in points this season. But the event itself was the event was cool production wise. Like, that stage is really hype. I like that sliding door with the smoke. Look out, Kazunoko. Please, proceed through that door quickly. You will get bonked. I think that might have lost it for him, but just watch that whole. If you don't know what I'm talking about, watch the entirety of the tournament. It's a fun tournament to watch because the matches themselves actually very exciting. But the event itself was it had some interesting production qualities to it, not values, production qualities to it that I don't know. I think they're worth talking about, or worth like they're probably not worth talking about. Just things that like hit me from the production side of like, man, like what happened here? So this moment of them getting ready to play. So like from this moment, after Duke walks out, they get set up for the match, and there's like a minute of just like silence within the theater. Like no one's making a lot of noise, and both commentators go into their best. They're not trying to do this. They just slip into like their best golf announcer voice, and this is the most exciting tournament. No one's ever been in this spot before. The stakes have never been higher. No one is making a noise in the crowd, and it's like, man, like it's a little bit of pacing issue here, and then. Something that I love, particularly in this match. If I say, let's go, Ricky, you know exactly what I'm talking about. If you have watched this match, someone might have been a little too close to the mic, the announcer's mic. Looking at you, Ultra David. It's to the point where you know exactly who it is. They come through that much. Just interesting stuff like that. And I timed it out, but timed till from when Dew wins to where the confetti comes down, there's a moment of like 2 minutes and 30 seconds from win to confetti. Time till confetti, TTC is 2 minutes and 30 seconds, and it's like, man, there's a lot of time from win to confetti. You want to see you want those confetti cannons on a hair trigger at a moment's notice. Win can happen at any time. Perfect can happen at any time. Blow that confetti all over the place. Let the people know. But it's those little production things that to me stand out because I'm a broken person and I just can't not notice those things. After years of DJing, there's just some things that you can't unhear or unsee or not have an ear for at least. But the matches themselves, extremely exciting. Recommend checking out the entirety of the tournament from last year, just to get in the mood. Oh man, sorry, I just saw do a like a max meter gain combo, and that's exciting. But no, I am extremely excited for this year's Capcom Cup, and I can't wait to see what things change. That's why I want to bring this particular matchup, because I want to see what changes from last year to this year, because I feel like they are going to up their game exponentially, because they've been putting in a lot of work community wise. They have been on the hype train. There are people out there saying good stuff about the outlook for a Capcom Cup, and I want to see that difference. I want to see that quantifiable difference between last year's and this year's Capcom Cup, because maybe I'm getting my hopes up, but I'm expecting big things. I'm expecting like announcement trailers, big music. I want to see a musical number right in the middle. It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun time, folks. Looking forward to that, and that will wrap it up for this week's episode of RSF Radio. So I don't know, just stick with it. I'm just every week going to get more and more excited about this particular tournament, more announcements for AE. I'm excited for AE, both excited and also fearful in terms of how much work I might need to do to fix Geese Gym and see how broken that is in a week or so, a couple weeks or so, because then AE's it's released a month later. Yeah, well, a little over a month. It's like a month and a week after Capcom Cup. So this is an exciting time for Street Fighter. And there's a lot of other fighting games out there that have super exciting stuff going on. Looking at you, Tekken, right now. But that is the news for our Street Fighter from last week and a little bit beyond, just to make up for time lost there due to vacation and Thanksgiving. But I don't know, get excited for Capcom Cup because it's coming. It's only a little over a week away. We're going to have a lot more to talk about next week as the event draws near. And I look forward to you guys joining me next week. So if you are watching on YouTube, do the like and subscribe bullshit or whatever. That's fine. And if you are listening to it on iTunes, write a review. I've heard that it's good. Doesn't really matter what you say in the review. Doesn't really matter how you rate the podcast. I don't care. It might be bad. Probably is bad. I have no faith in my ability to do a podcast. But that doesn't matter. All that matters is what you guys say. So do that stuff, write that stuff if you can or if you want to. No pressure. It's fine. I don't really care. But that I only say that because that helps get the word out. So if you find this information useful, if you think other people will find this information useful, please feel free to share. And that will wrap it up for this week's. I gotta run, but that will do it for this week's episode of RSF Radio. Again, I'm Joe Monday. You can find me at Super Joe Monday on Twitter or Joe_Monday on the sub. So look for all of these posts on our Street Fighter and look forward to what news is coming this week on our Street Fighter. Stay tuned, folks, for another episode of our RSF Radio. Have a good night. Take care.